Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. And today I welcome Bogdan Micov to the show. So I'm glad to have you on today, Bogdan. And I'm just going to quickly introduce Bogdan and then I'm going to dive into our conversation today. So Bogdan is a world-class system architect and creator of the Be Relentless method. He blends NLP, hypnosis, timeline paradigm techniques, quantum linguistics, and polarity integration to surgically delete the root causes of emotional blocks, collapsing years of therapy into a single transformational day so high performers get permanent internal freedom, unshakable clarity, and effortless execution. So, Bogdan, welcome to the show today. Glad to have you on.
It's my pleasure, Johnny. It's my pleasure. It's my honor to be here. I was watching some of your interviews with some of your previous great guests that you brought in there, and it's really a pleasure to be here among all of that. And I just wanted to recognize you for the good job that you're doing. I know it's not that easy to be managing all of that part. So before we start, I want to say to everyone that is listening or following or watching on any of the platforms, please guys, like show some love, put some 5-star reviews, because we need more people like Johnny here to actually not only entertain us, but educate us on everything that matters in life.
Amazing. No, appreciate that. Thank you, Bogdan. And glad to have this conversation, but I completely take that in, so I appreciate it. So yeah, Bogdan, like you're doing a combination of a lot of modalities there. I love that. And helping people get to like high performance, execution, work through their emotional blocks, and much more. How did you get into all of this? Is this like this human psychology, this high performance always been a passion of yours? Or did something happen in your life that made you so fascinated?
I wouldn't say it was a calling from very early stage, but there were several circumstances that actually led me to dive deep into the whole human psychology, human behavior, and everything. Now, this is like around a decade ago. I was running as a acting CEO, one of the biggest hospitality companies in Dubai. And I've been always like a person that work hard, study hard, um, working 18 hours a day, and like pushing through that masculinity that we have been thought that forget about emotions, just go through, push through that, like macho type of style, like most of us we are going through in life. And it was all good, served me a certain purpose. I grew in career, I was making good money, I was having everything that I desired in that moment, car, penthouse, and making shit ton of money until I finished in a hospital from a stroke. And when I wake up in a hospital and I was talking with the neurologist in that moment, I still remember the conversation. He made complete blood tests and all the tests that could possibly exist on a planet Earth. And Dubai has a very, very good medical system. And I was like, man, like your body is good, like everything is fine. And I was like, so what's going on? How can I get a stroke when I'm like in my beginning of my 30s? And he was like, he explained like an analogy, something like that. He was like, man, what happens to a computer when you open so many different windows and tasks and apps at the same time? And I was like, well, the computer blocks. And he was like, and then what do you need to do? And I was like, I need to restart the computer. He was like, exactly. Now, you didn't restart your body, but your mind put you on reset and tells you what do you need to look at. And I was like, oh, that's interesting story, you know? And by looking for, solutions, I started, self-development books, all of that part, started in that moment meditation a little bit, even though I didn't even know what is it at that moment. And I, by accident, met a person. It was like, uh, that it was like I was on this training. It's about NLP, and I was like, "What is NLP?" And he was like, "Neuro linguistic programming. You learn how to communicate with people. Deal with a certain blockages, limiting beliefs." I didn't have a clue what that is, and I was like, "Okay, if it's for a better communication and understanding someone else, I'm on a leadership position now. Why not to go and educate myself to learn like how to communicate with people better, right?" Because that was my first impression. And I went and it was like 10 days training, like 10, 12 hours a day. I took like a vacation from work and I was like, I'm going to reset. I went there with intention to learn communication just to understand how much screwed am I emotionally, mentally, and that opened my eyes. And it was the
Wow.
moment when I learned about one modality. And I was like, okay, what's the next step now? And the next step, I was like, I will need to take it to the next level. So I became first I was NLP practitioner, then I became NLP coach, then master NLP coach and practitioner, right? And I was like, okay, but this is not enough. And then I got into hypnosis. I was like, let me get, like the hypnosis, go to the master level of a hypnotist. And I was like, cool, what's next? And the journey started that way. Went the rabbit hole and everything that I could learn and I can come across, I attended. Spent more than $500,000 in education in this part in the last 10 years,
Wow.
going through everywhere in the world. Finished in Tibet for 3 months, learning several of their tools in the monasteries in Tibet that they're using for their own, they're calling it healing or their own cleanse. Finished in Hawaii, learning about breath work and their ancient way of approach of energy, and literally went that route. And after a while, I quit corporate job. Like I quit hospitality, I quit everything, and I just got myself into high ticket sales. Like I just got it because I was like, if I let me entertain myself with something, and it was remote job, and it then I realized that I invested in learning the skills, but I realized I'm advancing way more than everyone else. Why is this? If I'm getting better, just to realize that what I knew from previously work on myself, how much impacts the performance compared with someone else, how much the emotions drives the behavior, what drives the emotions, the thinking drives the emotions, what drives the thinking or the meaning making, our conditioning on a deep level. And I was like, I need to do something with it. And when it was the first time when I involved myself and I created let's say, started creating a method that's going to be able to help other people, especially now high performers, entrepreneurs, and everyone else that need a certain, when they have all the skills, but there is something in them that is blocking them. And I was like, need to go there. And then throughout trial and error and many years, I made my own method, which is a fusion from everything that I have learned there with intention to create a process that will going to bring permanent results fast. Because we don't need to, I realize that we don't need to go to therapy for 25 years to deal with a phobia when it can be done literally in 5 minutes. We don't need to go to do all those healing coping mechanisms if we have been through a emotional trauma and we are carrying it with us. It can be literally done in 10 minutes. And we don't need to be reframing limiting beliefs every day, the same limiting belief every day, when it can be actually deleted and replaced with a positive limiting belief within 5 to 7 minutes. Now, it took a time to create it, but then it's if you go and follow some of my socials, you will see the surprising faces of my clients when one of those blocks is being deleted. They don't even remember it anymore. And that's gave me the biggest pleasure that I can ever experience, to see people transform life in front of my eyes. You cannot imagine how rewarding that is it for me to see that when someone gets better from tears to joy within minutes. And it's amazing thing. And that brought me here, and I think I will never going to stop. I believe that this is my purpose for now, and my biggest desire at the moment is to spread the word and show the world that no one is meant to suffer. We are born to grow, born to learn, born to expand, born to become better. And no one, absolutely no one, should go through all those suffers eternally. Things will happen, but how we deal with them at that moment is what will going to make the whole difference.
Wow, so powerful. Just not going through, not making it harder than it needs to be, it sounds like, and just having that transformation within like minutes or like within hours, depending on what they're going through. Sounds like more like minutes on some of these things. Really, really
Depends what we
powerful.
will need to deal with, right? I mean, look, let's talk about, what is the most dominant. If you're talking about emotional trauma, right? If a person been through a certain thing in their past that left that trauma, the trauma was created in a moment, in a second. Phobia, let's say someone got bitten by a snake, the phobia was created in that moment. Irrational fear occupies our nervous system. So if that can be created, that was not there, and it was created in a second, what makes us think that it cannot be erased or reversed in another second? Take it like this. Our conditioning, the way how we learn to think and therefore feel, I want to use it like an analogy. Imagine you're living on the top of a mountain, and down 10 kilometers down, you have your grocery. So every day you will need to take your skis and to go down, buy bread, milk, and everything. So you go the first day and you create marks in the snow. And the next day, because you've been already, you follow that marks again. And then you follow that marks again. And after a while, that marks solidify, get frozen in the snow, and they are there and they seem permanent, right? So you don't even think anymore, it becomes automatic and you use that marks. So that's our thought patterns, how we learned, we practice once becomes a belief and we use it unconsciously, we don't even think anymore. And it leads us to a certain destination. My job here it is to create a mental blizzard, literally blizzard, to cover and erase those tracks that are not serving us a purpose anymore, so we can create new ones. We can create it new neural pathways where the thought moves and initiates a different emotion than the one it was until now.
Yeah, and do you think most things can be dealt with? Because I know a lot in the world, there's quite a lot of, this was, and I know there are some horrendous things that can happen to people. I know some people go through some like tough things, but I also know that there can be quite a lot, and I've been guilty of it myself, of like, this happened to me, so I'm holding, I'm holding on to that or that story, or it's really tough for me. Do you feel like those things can kind of like, if you find like that source can be improved?
Everything, because everything is learned. Let's think about this way. When you were born, did you know anything about career, money, love,
No.
heartbreak, or anything? You didn't know anything. Only thing you knew is how to laugh and how to learn and how to explore life. And babies, if you just observe a babies, they're so curious. You even show them a pen and they're like, oh, you know, what
Yeah.
is this? They consistently laugh, consistently in peace. And then we started learning. There is where our conditioning starts. So we start learning our model of the world based on our environment, where we grew up, parents, grandparents, school, religion. And then we learn our set of values and our set of beliefs, and then our attitudes and everything that comes with it. And that creates that model of the world, and that, let's say, story creates our meaning making process. So then we see something, and based on our conditioning, we gave it a meaning. Let's give it an example. If you are from UK, I am from Macedonia. So I'm just giving an example. And imagine now you enter my room. I give this example. You enter my room and then you see a young kid in my lap, and my hand is doing like this, bam, making some noise, and the kid is somehow screaming. All we perceive is data, right? Voice or anything else. Some people will going to say child abuse. They will get angry about it, and that tells me about their conditioning, that they will never going to do anything like that to a child. While if you get someone like my father, for example, if he comes in and sees this, he'll be like, what did he do? He'll start laughing because he'll be in his way of education. He went through it and he end up on the way just fine. Now, not that one is right and another is wrong. There is no right and wrong. It's just the perception of the thing. So the meaning making of the same situation is different. The same like the boss gives a speech in front of the team, and some people get offended and they develop a negative emotion, and they say the boss is rude and arrogant, and other people will say, oh, this is a constructive criticism, the boss is really trying to for us to get better, let me learn from it. Same situation, different meaning, different meaning, different emotion. So based on those emotions, we're going to display some total of behaviors. Some total of behaviors, things that we do, actions that we take, and things that we don't do and actions that we don't take. And based on those behaviors, we're going to experience results. Results that we like or results that we are not going to like. So if we really want to make a change, we need to unlearn some of the things that are not serving us a purpose anymore. Is there going to be a certain beliefs or a value that has to change, and everything together? So I know that some people have been through not so cool stuff, which we will classify them terrible, and it was not their fault. Absolutely, especially if someone been a child or anything else. But then there, that situation itself, that thought of that situation creates a negative emotion. It's not the situation itself, but the thought of that and remembering and the pain and all of that. Now, it was 20 years ago, and we are still feeling, experiencing that pain because it's a strong emotional, negative emotional residue in our nervous system. Now we can stay like that our whole life, or we can actually delete that emotion, and that memory becomes just a memory that we can learn from, and we can grow and bounce back, because no one is deserving to go through that suffer. Now, it was not their fault, maybe, but when they grew up, it is definitely their responsibility what type of life they want to live. And it's called taking an ownership for our own well being.
Yeah, taking responsibility of our kind of way we go through life. But yeah, like you said, there's some things that people really experience an intense level. But is your kind of like method dealing with both the mind and body in that sense? Because I know I've been in a place where I'm like, I've tried to like, before I got into all my somatic work, and I
Yeah.
got into like breath work and all that kind of thing, I used to just be like, oh, I just try and think positive and try and outpush it, and that wouldn't work for me. So it's kind of like the method you're introducing, diving into the nervous system, and
This is the Be Relentless method is nothing of a positive thinking.
that's how I
It's
used to
nothing.
try and approach it. It didn't work.
It's nothing of a positive thinking because positive thinking is a wishful thinking and it's just avoiding the problems, suppressing the problems that deep in the unconscious mind. And this is not going to work. But does it works with the mind and the body? Well, that's connected. Because let's think about this. What is an emotion? An emotion is just a chemical released from your hypothalamus, bunch of enzymes, peptides, proteins, and released within your system, within your bloodstream. And if it's a positive emotion, it would be endorphin, oxytocin, dopamine for a certain level, serotonin, all those beautiful chemicals running through your body. If it's a negative emotion, then it's going to be a cortisol and adrenaline. And when it's a negative emotion, the amygdala, that they call, some people want to call it the lizard brain, the amygdala, which is our switch for safety, switch on, and then we go into a fight or flight mode. And when we go into a fight or flight mode, several things happen to our body. First, our digestive system shuts down because the body thinks there is a lion or a dinosaur in front of us. We need to save ourselves. So we need to pump all that energy instead of, use the energy for digesting our breakfast. We need to pump that energy in our extremities so we can save our life. Then, if that happens, what is happening if the digestive system does not working properly? First, the body does not receive the proper nutrients from the food, is losing energy. And when it's losing energy, what happens? We experience chronic fatigue, burnout, headaches, everything that comes with it. Second thing that shuts down in a fight or flight mode, it is the immune system. So if the immune system shuts down and does not work properly, then we are more likely to experience certain dis-ease or unease, call it however, label it however you want. And plus, there is no recovery. So not only now that you are fatigued and burnt out, there is no proper recovery, even if that's why people sleep 18 hours a day and they still wake up tired. The immune system does not do its job because we are consistently in our own fight or flight mode. And third, which is in my mind, I pay attention to a lot because I work with a lot of high performers, especially in the business world. The frontal cortex, the frontal lobe, shuts down, which means we have access to maximum of 20% of our intelligence. So no matter how smart you are, no matter how educated you are, no matter how much of a data, knowledge, and skills you have, you're operating with maximum 20% of that because it shuts down. Simple example, a person gets angry, stands up, punch the wall, and break his hand. How intelligent that is. So experiencing those anger, fear, or something else literally makes us dumb. And if that works, if that happens into a work environment or something else, how would you perform? How would you
Oh
even
wow.
perform with 20% of your knowledge? That's why so many of entrepreneurs, when they come and work with me with release, straight away decision making improves. A different way of approach to the business, a lot of knowledge, a lot of opportunities start showing in front of their eyes simply because they were not able to see it previously. The knowledge was there, the data was there, but it was covered with a cloud of negative emotions that was not allowing them to reach to that point. That's why they said we all have the same resources available, but are we resourceful? It's a different story.
Makes a lot of sense because I've seen and I've experienced both sides myself, and I've seen it in other people where like you're in near emotions of maybe like fear, oh, I've got to do this, or maybe it's like anger, frustration. You're working really, really hard, you're just getting more and more tired. But then also there can be the working hard in the like, I'm excited, I'm in flow, I'm doing this, that's an idea, I can do that, and then all these things start coming. So that makes a lot of sense when you said that to me.
But even the conditioning, the label hard, working hard, we are taught, all of us, right? Especially with my
That's a good point.
upbringing. You need to work hard. You need to work hard. You need to love hard. You need to study hard. It's all hard, hard, hard. And the word hard itself presupposes suffer,
That's a good
right?
point.
It presupposes suffer. So if we have a meaning making of hard, working hard means I need to suffer, and that's already belief that supports that. I need to suffer so I can achieve X, Y, Z. That's why I never use even the label in my vocabulary working hard. I would say like I will put the right amount of effort during the right amount of time that is aligned with my goals. Straight away feels differently. I'm not saying put less hours of sleep and be lazy, don't take action or anything else. No, you can put the same hours, you can put the same effort, but just not to feel like suffer. I will give you an example. You've been a kid, I've been a kid. We've been 14, 15, 16 hours playing on the streets. In that moment that we didn't have computers, we were playing football, basketball, any type of sports, sprint, swimming, and we are 15 hours out there and we don't get tired. We come back home, we take a shower, we have some food, we go to sleep, and the next day again, and the next day again, and the next day again, and the next day again. Why do you think is that? Because we were putting all that physical effort, but the emotion behind was joy and happiness and growth, which are empowering emotions, and simply you don't get exhausted. You're not leaking energy. In that moment, we didn't have a worry. What if I cannot pay my bill tomorrow? We didn't have a worry. What if my girlfriend leaves me? We don't have that type of worries or angers in that moment simply because we don't have much of a responsibility, obviously. But it's a proof that burnout isn't physical, it's emotional. Fatigue isn't physical, it's emotional. Sort your emotions, those hidden leaks of energy, and then you see how you operate. And imagine, no matter what you do in life, no matter what type of job do you do, if you operate from joy, if you operate from peace, are you going to do a better job or worse job? Probably will do better. Are you going to put more hours as an entrepreneur or less hours? You will put more. And if you do all of that, are you going to have a better results or worse results? It's going to all come better. So I will repeat myself again. We don't need to, we shouldn't be lazy or anything. We need to put the work, but we can make it to feel better. I've been working with the thousands of people right now at the moment. I'm talking high level executives, CEOs, celebrities, athletes, multimillionaires, that many of them, they have achieved a certain financial success, but they don't find the pleasure in life. Some of them, so much of a potential, especially in the athletic world, they have been so much of a potential, but that need for recognition, fear of what if I fail, was stopping their progress. And the moment when you literally remove that from your nervous system, they start operating like in a different code, different software. So many people would say like, think who do you want to become? My approach is a little bit of opposite. I always say you don't need to become someone else. You need to unbecome who you weren't to begin with. You don't need to become someone else. You need to remember who you truly were before the conditioning, before the world took its hands on you and taught you what is wrong and what is right. That's all learning. And if it's a learning, it can be unlearned and replaced with another learning that serves us a way better purpose at this moment.
Unlearning, to come back to the real you. Okay. So you've got your method is called the Be Relentless method.
Yeah.
What's how did you come across the name for that?
Well, there is two reasons. When I started in high ticket sales a long time ago for a first time, and we were having, these team meetings and everything else, and I was just dialing from the phone, cold calling outbound consistently. And we didn't have a CRM in that moment. We didn't have any software, just from the phone and call. And I was making over 500 dials a day, while the others were making 100, 120 plus. And the manager that was in that moment, now a very good friend of mine, Raj, and we were on the meeting, and he was like, guys, you should be like Bogdan. You see, he is relentless. I didn't even know in that moment much what the meaning of relentless. I needed to Google it, like what it means. And then it came to the second idea, it came to me is like, be relentless. It's not to be that alpha striving thing, but be relentless with the blockages you carry. Don't let them multiply. Don't let them stay more than is necessary. Now, why I say more than is necessary? Even the negative emotions are a beautiful thing. Why? Because it's a feedback mechanism for the quality of your thinking at a given moment. So it's the best alarm that your unconscious mind has and gives you as a gift to tell you, ouch, this hurts. Please stop thinking this way, because it's trying to protect you. Now you have the choice to say like, thank you, dear unconscious mind, for pointing out what else I need to deal with me. Or you can just dwell into that fear, into that anger, into that frustration for the next 6 years, get sick and finish in a hospital bed. It's your choice.
Oh, I love that. How you came across that. And wow, $500 plus a day. But when you've got the right energy and you've unlocked a lot of that stuff, totally makes sense.
Because for me it was a joy. It was something new. I was doing something new. I didn't know much. I didn't have much of a skill, so I wanted to go on the numbers game. Then after it changed, because then results started shifting. So when I started learning the skill a little bit better, but I never felt like, oh my God, they hang up, they hang up. So what? Doesn't mean anything about me, knowing fully well that they are seeing me through their own mind. So it's their own conditioning, their own meaning making process. That means nothing about me. If they shout at me, they shout. If they swear at me, they swear. It's part of the job, but doesn't mean anything about me. So why would I give them that type of attention that if they get angry, should mean something about me? No one can make you angry. You make yourself angry. Your thinking creates emotion, anger or fear. It's not a thing that I can put it in your head. You create it by yourself based on your own meaning making process that comes based on your model of the world and conditioning. So it's ours. Now, if someone said, like, oh, she made me feel this way, well, that's externalizing responsibility because she didn't. You feel it by yourself. So I already understood that way before. And that's why, for me, the game in Salesforce it was great. And in 5 years, I collected over 50 million in the high ticket programs that I was selling around.
Wow.
So that itself made me near $5 million in commission for me.
Wow.
Not because I was the best or the smartest or the hardest working. It's because I enjoyed what I'm doing and I was not putting on no one on a pedestal. No matter how much money do you have, no matter which position you are there, I just see another human being with a different learnings, with a different thing, and I'm here to communicate and I'm here to learn if I can help you in the first place. Which means there was no attachment to the results is going to be closed or not going to be closed. There was no attachment because if he doesn't close, another one will. So where is the rush?
But you got to that through your own work on all those emotions and that clearing.
Absolutely. That was the whole thing because I learned that before that.
Makes a lot of sense. Someone
It,
could
it's
be,
it's an
if you,
interesting job.
yeah, because I've been in this space and I've done like in the sales roles in the past, and I've been in those moments where it's like, oh, I really like different transitions, or I'm really enjoying it, and it's like, oh, it's really cool. I get to talk to another human being and all this kind of thing, and then it's like but then also been in the moments when it's the dread of having more conversations with people, and yeah, there's certainly a difference in energy and my journey through that as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
so,
I mean, sales in general, it is very rewarding type of job because everything is sales. As a business owner, you're a salesperson. As a podcast host, you're a salesperson. You need to sell someone to your story. That is going. Sales is everywhere, but it's demanding, and it's very, very mental and emotional game. If someone throws objection at you, if you panic, you will never going to be able to help them overcome that objection that you clearly know they're self-sabotaging themselves. So you wouldn't be able to do that. If someone, it's, people sense your energy and your confidence way before you open your mouth, way before words start coming out. The way how you hold yourself and your body is reflection directly on what you feel inside. Every emotion has its physiology because you just if I say how does depressed person looks like, you already know how does his body it is. Shoulders slouched, head down, shallow breath. And if I tell you how does a confident person looks like, you already know that they are chest up, pumped up, chin up, and everything else because the emotion reflects in our body directly. And that can be sensed on a very unconscious level. That's why they say there is something like called like a rapport to build up that type of familiarity. But also, if you your thought process is off and you start experiencing negative emotions, your vibration goes down as well. So even on an energetic level, on a vibrational level, you're vibrating low. And unlike the electromagnetic world where plus attracts minus, in the energetic world, plus attracts plus and minus attracts plus and minus.
very true. I found, yeah.
So you wouldn't be able to deliver even though you know what to say and what to do. And you remember when I said that your intelligence shuts down? How many times that you've been in sales or other people, you completely freeze. You forgot what I was about to ask and what were you about to say
Many times.
many times, and then you go back and you watch or
Yeah, watch
check
the
your
calls
call or
again.
something
Yeah.
else, and then you're like, how did I forget to say that? But I knew this already. Yes, you know it, but you didn't have access to it because there was certain maybe fear of rejection there, or God knows whatever was showing up, or maybe a certain belief of I'm not good enough in this that was not serving your purpose. It was supporting those emotions. Think about this. Fear creates monsters in our head. Our beliefs support that monsters, and just becoming aware of it, 50% of the deletion is done. Uh, Dr. Carl Jung, the father of the modern psychology, he says he said it very often in many of his materials. Until you become conscious of your unconscious patterns, they will rule your life. They will lead your life. You're not in control. So the whole point is to build an awareness, find the root cause, and there is easy to deal with after that.
It's awesome. I love that. And I know you could kind of super speed up the process for people with all the work you're doing out there,
You
which
can.
is which is awesome. And you've got so many tools, so many ways you're helping people like these high performers and all over the world. Yeah, Bogdan, I'd love to know where the listener can find you if they want to, when they want to reach out and find out more about your work, maybe connect with you or your team. Where's the best place for them to do that? And is
I
there maybe something you'd like to leave us with today in terms of a final point?
Yeah, absolutely. So the probably the best way and where I'm most active is on Instagram, and they can find me like Mikov Bogdan. That's my handle, MICOV BOGDAN. And for all of your loyal listeners, if they just DM me and they mentioned Johnny's podcast, I'm going to send them a gift from
Awesome.
me just for a reward that they have been your listener. And what I have to leave like a final word, like a closing. I mean, there are so many things to say, but if I am to come with one thing, is remember this: you're not experiencing the world outside of you directly. You're incapable to do it. You're only capable to experience your own thinking about the world outside of you. Meaning, we are consistently living in the feeling of our own thinking. And if we are consistently living in the world of our own thinking, that means we have control over that. Like Dr. Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way how you look at things, the things you look at change. There is a lot of science behind that, and that I take all my clients through it to understand it deeply so they can maintain the change and they can live a better lives. But it's literally that. There is no world outside of us. It's only our thinking about the world outside of us.
Oh, powerful. I love that, Bogdan. Like the way we see the world, and we're in control of that if we choose to be. I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bogdan, for everything you shared today. And yeah, please reach out to Bogdan on Instagram and on socials, and we'll have that linked in the show notes below, so you can grab those links. But once again, Bogdan, thank you for just a handful of all the wisdom and knowledge and expertise you're giving the world by sharing that with us today.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure being here, Johnny.
Thank you. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.